Welcome to Manga Machinations! This is episode number 512, and this week it is part 2 of our Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective. I'm Dakazu, and with me is Star Fox 8.
Hello, it's me, Star Fox 8.
Morgana Santilli.
Hi there.
And Seamus2389.
Hello.
Hello, everybody. Welcome as we take another step into the world of Ooku, the Inner Chambers, for our main segment. But Manga Machinations. We're essentially a book club for manga. Does that still work? Are we still technically a book club for manga? I feel like we don't talk about manga strictly.
No, but I think the biggest...
There's a lot of book clubs that don't talk about the book at all.
They're just there for the wine.
I don't even have wine.
Well, you can fix that.
Well,
is it time to break out my smooth as fuck scotch? It's not even like the end of the year.
I'm drinking cider.
I was going to say, let's not become one of those podcasts that start the episode talking about what they drink.
But we have our food tangent at the beginning all the time. Oh well.
That doesn't bother me too much. I just have ones where they're like, "Oh, what are we drinking this week?" And I was just like, "I can't do this anymore. These people, they've driven me away."
Seamus has no patience for the lushes. Okay. Oh yes. Let us begin. I want to first thank everyone who supports us by buying us a coffee. If you too want to support us, head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac and you can buy us a coffee, which will help fund our manga reading projects. We're recording this podcast live on YouTube, youtube.com/mangamactv, and over there on that feed, you can see Darfox has put up our splash page, and it shows that our Land of the Lustrous retrospective has been funded by Philip. He also helped fund our Berserk Psycho Selection episode, which is already out. Okay, I was reading that, but then Darfox just got to himself with a plate of food. Hold on, we'll get back to that in a second. Our current Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective, is being funded by Manga Machu, Vicky Dalton, and Lulu. Thank you. And thank you to everyone else who has funded us. Elise88, Chris from Canada, Deluit, Mia, Wyatt, Dr. Melface, Poor Mexican 72, Liquidus002, Xteen, and Jen. Thank you so much for supporting us.
Made possible by viewers like you.
Yes, you help fund Darfox's plate of food.
or at least you made it so that he can afford food, because we don't have to buy all the manga.
Yep. Okay, we've cut back to the plate of food. There's some rice. Is that potatoes that are yellow? Cantaloupes?
He's too busy eating to tell us. Fries?
I know.
Are they fries?
Oh, fries? Fries and rice. Interesting combo.
This is fries from the Chinese place. I said, yeah, give me some French fries.
You ordered Chinese and you got fries?
Yes, along with Mongolian beef and some pork fried rice from my dad.
Okay.
Oh, and because I always tip him, even though I do pick up because they're like a local place. They gave me free crab rangoons. It says free right there. Right there.
Oh, see? Is it really a tip if you basically paid for rangoon? Is it free if you...
I mean, crab rangoons are typically... Wait, I never get them, so are they expensive?
I don't know, I never get them either, but it's kind of one of the signatures of their place, and I think they've been trying to sell me on these for a while. I always eat them when they give it to me, but I never order them on my own.
That's funny. They're like, we gotta get Darfox buying our crab rangoons. What do we need to do? Just give him a free sample every time he tips. We'll get him eventually.
There's a crab rangoon.
You too can see Darfox's bite mark in his crab rangoon if you head over to youtube.com/mangamactv. Alright then. Let us move along. I have an email this week email from our friend in Germany, Tyler, titled Unstoppable Tropic. Tropic? How do you spell tropic? Tropic?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, tropic. I think he meant to write topic. Anyway,
Maybe he was writing philanthropic.
I doubt that.
Are we philanthropic?
Let me read this email. Why do you think every main character in an action series is so overpowering and boring? I blame Dragon Ball and Fists of the North Star. So name some character you think are too strong early in their series. Okay, thank you for your email, Tyler. This is a hard question.
Interesting concept, eh?
I mean, power fantasies aren't anything new. I think it's, I'm thinking of like Superman has always been over.
Hold
I
on,
get-
he was far underpowered in the early days compared to what he was later. He couldn't fly.
okay.
But he
Could
was
just
still
jump.
he was still dealing with like wife beaters and like gangsters.
Right.
He wasn't dealing with like Doomsday who could punch a hole through like a building.
Yes.
So like there was an escalation at a point where like, okay, he's fighting Metallo. Well, he can also like throw a whole tanker from the ocean to like a different peninsula.
My like answer for this question is like I don't think any of them are overpowered. I think if the story is done right, they're all appropriate for like whatever, shonen action journey they're gonna go on, right?
I agree. I think that's the correct answer. It's only overpowered if it's like a boring story.
Yeah, you can look at
and there could be a boring stories. So yeah, it can happen. But like overall, as long as there's interesting stuff happening, it's not a problem.
let's throw out some examples like Ippo from Hajime no Ippo.
Definitely not
He
overpowered.
He punches really hard because he was like doing a bunch of like training like on his mom's fishing boat without even knowing it. But he doesn't know how to use that power. So I don't think he's overpowered or boring.
I think interesting example of one of these is Asta from Black Clover, where he actually is overpowered because he has like a cheat code versus like the world. It's completely based around magic, and he has seemingly the only anti-magic powers that just dispels and negates anything they throw at him. But that's kind of the whole point of the series is him like fighting snooty, like elitist magicians who look down on commoners, and then he's a commoner who just like beats them up really easily, and that's the whole like cycle of the underdog story of him giving some snooty person his comeuppance. It's just rinse repeat. That's like Black Clover over and over again, basically.
My magic power is never giving up.
Also, the big blade that cuts magic.
I guess like instead of an action series, if you're talking isekai, a lot of isekai stories are about like overpowered cheat abilities.
Yes.
But that's also kind of the point.
Right. It's like on purpose.
Sometimes in the title, I got a cheat ability because my cheat ability is cheat ability.
Yeah.
I think we have one at Yen called what was it? I became so overpowered I unlocked a cheat ability in the real world too, or something like that. I don't know why I'm blanking on this title. I'm sure I've typed it 3 million times, but yes. Yeah, no, I think it's like it's almost a joke to have the main character who's super overpowered. But that's the point of the story, and it kind of tries to subvert that. So
and One Punch Man, which is a very popular anime now, it was like a gag manga basically. It was like a webcomic about this guy who was so powerful that he's bored, beats everybody one punch. So like yes, the whole premise of him is being he's overpowered, but like it was still a really interesting and fun comic. It doesn't make it boring because the author I think was pretty intelligent.
I think too, like when you're thinking about shonen stories, like I'm a little bit bored with the like overpowered protag thing, but like I'm not a kid anymore. When I think about who is getting into these things, like at the right age, I can definitely see why these characters, they're supposed to be cool, right? Like they're supposed to be something kids want to emulate. Like I'm just thinking my daughter, you know, she's 4 and all she talks about is like Spider-Man and Sonic the Hedgehog, and like if I want to get her to do something, I'll just be like, "Do you want to be fast like Sonic? Can you do it really fast like Sonic?" And then it works. So it's really just a hack for parents to use these characters to be like, "I bet you could be as cool as Goku if you did this thing." That's how I'm looking at it from now on.
it's a very specific perspective. That's awesome.
Extremely specific, but it works. But no, I do think, you know, it is for the majority of these types of stories with overpowered, quote unquote overpowered main characters, it's a fantasy, right? It's a kid's fantasy or a power fantasy. It's something where you kind of have this, you know, oh, if only I could do that. There's a certain amount of self-insertion because the reader is supposed to, I don't know, get invested in that way.
Hey, there are plenty of adults who still enjoy that kind of story.
Oh yes, I mean, and you know, I say I'm not into it anymore. It's not like there aren't my favorites from long ago. So I will always defend Yu Yu Hakusho. I think Yusuke has a great power arc. I think it's actually pretty well paced.
I mean, Tyler lists Dragon Ball and Fist of the North Star here, but I don't like Goku's pretty powerful, but he's not the most powerful at the beginning of Dragon Ball.
The problem with Dragon Ball isn't that Goku's powerful; it's that Goku's dumb as rocks.
Yeah, it's balanced out. It's the same thing you can say about Luffy or Denji from Chainsaw Man. As far as Fist of the North Star goes, that's a story about like a cool dude beating up bad guys by making them explode, punishing the wicked.
Sometimes it ain't serious.
Yeah.
You just need somebody to explode the bad guys.
Oh, there you go. Thank you for sending in that email, Tyler. If you too want to send us an email with a question, comment, or a correction, or anything else, send it to mangamachinations@gmail.com. Okay, let's move along to some What You Been Reading next. Morgana, what did you read anything this past week?
You know, I did want to mention something briefly. Something I read for work, but I read a light novel.
What?
I know, like I never read light novels. I've started a few just to kind of get it a sense. But even though I work for Yen and we publish a lot of them, I tend not to read them. But we have one upcoming this month called Hell is Dark with No Flowers, and it's a like mystery series where our neat protagonist is like down on his luck, has kind of fallen into the lap of this kid who turns out is one of the like sons of the lords of hell, who's like duking it out with this other lord for control. And so they're like a proxy service for hell, and basically this kid's job is to send 100 souls to hell first so that his dad can win this fight, basically. And there's yokai, there's mysteries, there's the usual like morality play, comeuppance, just desserts bullshit that I love, so I had to read it. And it's great, and the cover is really beautiful. I really enjoyed it, actually. I was pleasantly surprised. So
this screams Pet Shop of Horrors.
yes, exactly. I mean, like,
which now I know why you had to read this.
Yeah, I mean, when we announced this and I looked at the cover, I was like, shit, I think they're gonna get me to read a light novel. And they did. And it's pretty short. It's like less than 200 pages, so it wasn't like a huge commitment either, but it was really well done and really fun. And we just announced on Friday that we are also going to be publishing the manga, so I'm super excited about that as well. But yeah, it's just a very me kind of thing. I wanted to make it known that even I will read a light novel sometimes.
Okay.
It happened.
Now, Morgana works for the Empress, everybody, and her opinions are her own. How
Yes,
was
thank
the
you.
how was the prose?
I think it was pretty good. I often do, like, one of the issues I frequently have with light novels is they seem a lot of times a little stiff. I didn't think this had that problem. I was able to read it pretty fluidly. So I was again, and that's part of the reason I don't read as many light novels. I kind of get a little bit bogged down. I'm used to reading, much more literary kinds of works. These are, light novels are intended to be quick reads. They're not necessarily intended always to be the most, beautiful prose or anything like that. But this, I think this flowed pretty well. There were some pretty good idioms and things. It didn't feel super kind of. I feel like sometimes they feel a little stuffy or clinical, like there's not a lot of description. I didn't feel that way about this. I thought they did a pretty good job.
Interesting. I would not expect you to use the word stiff with the prose from a light novel.
Yeah, I usually find them a little bit like, I don't know, like not very engaging, kind of like halting. Yeah, stiff.
I always think of that one sample that we had from the end of Other Side Picnic. Remember that dewy personality?
Yeah.
That line.
I mean, my experience is very limited. I have not picked up and read a whole lot of light novels. I've glanced through them in the past, but really, I mean, I think this is the only the second one I've read all the way through. The other one being one of our middle grade novels. We published these like young reader novels too through our JY imprint. So I read Collector there. I read that whole thing, but I think that was I think this is only the second one that I've read like cover to cover. So, and it was good, and it's a gorgeous cover, and I'm excited about the manga. So,
Very nice. We will try and check that out when the manga comes out. Anything else?
nope, that's it for me this week.
Okay, what about you, Dar?
I finished Batman Cape Crusader. I think I called it Beware the Batman last time I talked about it. That's not the name of
Yeah.
it. That's a different cartoon. Batman Cape Crusader is on Amazon, and I liked it quite a bit. It's the animation isn't always great, but overall it looks good, and I just like the take on the characters overall. And at my advanced age, I'm very very picky on the take of Batman characters. I'm like I have really strong opinions. Like they're not doing this character right, or this isn't a good take. This is not interesting. Whatever. So I'm happy with it, and because I was on the Amazon Prime Video platform, I forgot that that new season of The Boys came out.
Oh yeah, I watched that.
So I started watching that. I'm like 2 episodes in. How did you feel about it, Dagazu?
I liked it. My wife actually bowed out of watching that show with me.
Yeah.
She was like, I can't handle like the violence and all the fucking political stuff anymore. I was like, I get it.
Yeah,
It's super political this season.
yeah. Well, famously, this is the season that finally the right wingers finally caught on to the fact that this show like is like left wing. It makes fun of right wing people. I guess people out there thought that like the show was on their side or shared their views.
I can't believe they thought that.
Yeah, this show is cartoonishly simple, and like this isn't a complicated show. It's a hammer over the head with its like politics, and all of like the violent evil people in the show are right wing and like openly right wing, which is one of the fun things about the show because it doesn't pull punches. It's just like Republicans are craven lunatics nowadays. Sorry to go full political, but like, and this show is just like just has a lot of fun with that. It's not a deep show. It's very much a show that like just tries to shock you with images and stuff like that. It has fun characters, and I like the cast. The cast, I think, is what made the show like last as long as it has. Um, because sometimes it's kind of paper thin, but like Carl Urban, the guy who plays Huey, I forget his name, um, and the guy who plays Homelander, who's at this point
Anthony Starr
Anthony
and
Starr,
Jack Quaid is Huey.
Jack
Yeah.
Quaid. Thank you. I like Jack Quaid a lot. Yeah, it's just a really great cast. Pretty much every character. Um, it got to that point where like I could recognize the characters' voices and inflections and kind of like facial twitches because these actors worked enough on these characters that they feel fleshed out like that way, which is really fun. I really like. And Homelander, of course, is like the star slash villain of the show because he's so psychotic and he's easy to laugh at, but then also just like terrifying monster. And there's so much memes based around him now that he's obviously like the breakout thing from the show, which makes sense. I mean, like he's the main villain. But yeah, like I'm enjoying it. I just I don't know how I would recommend the show anymore because it's gone on long enough that I feel like it may they could have done a shorter series, and they're planning on doing one more season, so at least they have an ending in sight. Um, but it's a fun time. It just is very violent and goofy.
Yep. We'll talk when you finish the season. Didn't you read that Secret Steward thing that you asked me to look at?
Oh yeah, I didn't read it. I thumbed through it. Oh
I mean, that's all you should do with that.
yeah. Are you gonna talk about it? I assume.
We can talk about it now.
Yeah.
Morgana, they released this manga called The Secret Steward over on Viz. I'm surprised it's on Viz and not on the Shonen Jump app. It might be on the Shonen Jump app. I just sent you a link.
Big spoilers for anybody who wants to read a manga with goofy twists in it.
But
big,
yeah,
big spoilers.
it's called The Secret Steward. And it's about this teenager with glasses who's approached by this Ojo-sama, rich, girl with blonde hair who's like, become my steward. And you just flip through it where they go to high school together. And then it turns out he is the secret steward. And as he leaves to do a secret steward job, he slips downstairs and then gets run over by a truck.
Wait, hold on. Before you keep on talking,
Yes.
I shall reveal the splash page to the stream. Okay, keep on talking.
Okay.
Cartoonish violence coming up. You are warned.
Yeah, yikes.
Did you get to the reveal, Morgana?
Oh yeah.
It's Deadpool. The Deadpool manga is back.
It's a Deadpool. They did a Deadpool.
This 15 pages of like fake rom-com story setup was all like a way to fool you that this is the Deadpool manga is coming back for the premiere of the Deadpool Wolverine movie.
So is the manga just gonna be called Secret Steward? I'm just worried about the people who run the website. Who are they? Do they need to like update the listing to Deadpool season 2 now, or is it?
Well, this is like almost like a preview chapter, right?
Okay, so this is gonna be like a burner metadata. Just gonna.
And changing the metadata is not that hard.
Yeah.
As somebody who does it for my job, you basically just send a new file and with the ISBN and just update all the updates. It should not be manual. Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. They already had a manga called Deadpool Samurai, so at the end, you see that Deadpool has used a chain gun to shoot Deadpool Samurai second season on the final splash page. So that's all it is.
Ridiculous.
The funny thing to me is I saw this and everybody was like, it was on Shonen Jump Plus. It's like, new series. I was flipping through it and I was immediately like, well, this looks like something I won't read. And then I got to the part where he like the steward explodes into a million pieces. And then I turned the page and it's Deadpool driving the truck. And I was like, of course.
And it's from the same team that made the Deadpool manga, right? So like,
Yeah.
if you're hyper aware of the creator team, then you might have seen this coming.
But yeah.
It's fun.
It's fine. And I was like, oh, cool. They're making more Deadpool manga. That should be fairly entertaining. And then, like, later that day, Dark Fox was like, did you hear about this? And I was like, yeah. Did you read it, though? And I was like, yeah.
Yeah, like, did you see this manga? Like, yeah, I saw it. Like, did you read it? It's like, yeah. Like, okay. No other word.
I don't need to make a big reaction about this. It's like they pulled a fast one on readers, and it's fairly amusing. And that's really all there is to say about The Secret Steward, aka, preview chapter of Deadpool Samurai Season 2. So there you go. Anything else then, Dar?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Seamus, did you read anything this past week?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see. I got a recommendation on Twitter for a manga.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, somebody pinged me and asked me to check out this manga called Amakute Karakute Suppai, aka Sweet Spicy Sour. Sending a link to the other hosts. And there's 3 free chapters online of this manga, which is done by Hasha. And it's about 3 women in their 30s who share a second apartment or home. I don't know if it's a rental house or apartment. But these 3 ladies who just happened to meet each other after at a yoga class decide to hang out and become friends. And then in the future, they decide to rent a second apartment place where they can hang out together and cook food. And so it's a easygoing slice of life food manga. I like Hasha's art style a lot. Very cute with simple faces, no noses. And yeah, it's called Sweet Spicy Sour, and you have the 3 ladies. One is Amaji, which, she has the kanji for sweet in her name. Karashiba, she has the kanji for spicy in her name. And Suya, who has the kanji for sour in her name. So that's why you get the title. And the first chapter shows them all going to this secondary house that they have to hang out and spend time together. I think it's mostly a second space that Suya, the lady with glasses, rents because she works freelance from home and she wanted a place. She didn't want her home environment to be also her workspace. But she got her other 2 friends to help fund it. And then they all use it as a hangout to cook a meal together. They cook an interesting meal in the first chapter, too. It's, let me flip through this and look it up. It's some kind of, was it Indonesian? Hold on, I want to get this right. Maho. It's Thai. So from Thailand. But what you do is, it's like you stir fry ground pork with spices, and then you put that on a slice of orange or kiwi.
Oh.
That sounds good, right, Morgana? I was like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah, got the savory and sweet thing going on.
Mm-hmm. And it's funny, at the end of the chapter, like, one of the girls is like, hey, that's us. I'm spicy, you're sweet, and you're sour. And the other woman is like, "Ha, that's so corny." And then the other woman who like came up with like the actual recipe like blushes because she's like, "Oh, that's what I thought. That it's us." Now I'm embarrassed. So yeah, it's just a cute story between these three women hanging out and eating food together. I was like, this is nice. But the thing is, I was looking up Hash's stuff on Manga, and they have a non-fiction manga where they spent half a year in the Philippines despite not speaking the language. And I think I want to read that.
No, gosh, I'm not surprised.
Yep, that's like way more up my alley. So
I like the artwork here a lot.
very cute. But yeah, a very nice manga. Spicy, sweet, and sour. So thanks for the recommendation. Wait, let me look this up. Oh god, okay, Twitter is fucking garbage right now, sorry. Because it, like, I didn't even get the recommendation. I didn't see it because they only showed up on the Manga Mac one. Deptribusi is the person who recommended this. So thank you for the recommendation. Okay, so besides that manga that I read this week, I was pretty busy. But I did have time to watch a movie. I decided to watch Shin Masked Rider. It's a movie that came out last year, Morgana. Shin Masked Rider, as in Shin Kamen Rider. This is the part of the Shin movie series that Hideaki Anno has been doing.
Oh, like Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla. He did Shin Ultraman, and now last year he put out Shin Kamen Rider. And everyone should know that Hideaki Anno, the creative mind behind Evangelion, is a giant mark for Kamen Rider. This man got married in a Kamen Rider costume.
The nerd.
He is a mega fucking nerd. And this movie, Shin Masked Rider, is the biggest love story to like Kamen Rider I've ever seen in my life. It's got a remix of the main theme. Go ahead, Morgana.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I was thinking about his wedding and how his wife is Moyoko Anno, and I just can picture her. You know, she's very
Moyoko Anno wore a wedding dress.
She seems very fashion conscious, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just could see her like being like, "The hell are you doing, dude?"
Yep. But she accepts that because
God bless her.
I read that a long time ago. I read that manga that she wrote about Hideaki Anno, her husband.
Insufficient Direction.
Yes.
I own it, but I haven't read it yet.
That's maybe we'll take a look at it. It's pretty interesting. That's where she talked about how they got married and he wore a rider outfit. But anyway, this movie, Shin Masked Rider, it's pretty good. The action is very good. It screams Hideaki Anno though. There's a lot of scenes with like beautiful vistas and just characters standing there looking solemn and sad.
But how many crucifixions?
Not a lot. Maybe one or two.
Only one or two, okay.
That is more than most movies.
Yeah, I would say.
I would say the thing that impressed me about this movie the most is you can tell he loves Kamen Rider, and he's super faithful in that sense to like all the villains, like the Batman, the Spider-Man. If you watch the trailer playing, like it all looks really like slick and stylized, but man, they're just, you know, if you think about it, it's a super goofy like kids show.
Mm-hmm.
Yet like the tone of it is like super serious. Even at the beginning when Takeshi Hongo, the Kamen Rider, the masked rider, saves a woman in the woods and is fighting people, he's punching fools, and there's like blood everywhere. I'm like, oh shit, okay, we're going this. So it doesn't shy away from like some violence or the depiction of violence without being like overly gory, which I thought was interesting. Also, there's a lot. It's a 2-hour movie, and even the first hour, he fights like 4 or 3 villains. It's like, Jesus, you're putting so much in this movie. It's pretty wild. But yeah, if you're a fan of Kamen Rider, I'm sure you would enjoy this. Or I don't know, I'm like a casual fan of Kamen Rider. I think I have a little bit more like affinity toward the Sentai series, like the Power Rangers side. But yeah, it's pretty good. I might go back and start working through Shin Ultraman and also Shin Godzilla.
I saw Shin Godzilla for the first time recently. That was a good movie.
But did you see Godzilla -1, which everyone says is the best movie?
I did. In fact, I think I saw them on the same day.
Is that because it's the more like pro Japan? Well, actually, both of them are fairly nationalists. Just one of them doesn't excuse war crimes like the other does.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Godzilla -1 is more of a feel good, let's save the day kind of movie. Shin Godzilla is more bureaucratic and kind of like how much can the government save you in this kind of situation?
Interesting. The government agents in Shin Mask Rider are pretty no nonsense and pretty ruthless.
Hideki Anno is a big fan of the Japanese bureaucracy.
Mm,
Does this film use some of the Evangelion themes? Because Shin Godzilla just straight up uses the bum 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 bum
what,
bum bum
really?
bum bum bum. Oh yeah, like
No,
a lot.
the music it has like the remix of the Kamen Rider theme, which I enjoyed. There was a scene where there's a lot of classic music playing. And I was like, that's Hideaki Anno. But some of the other music was weird.
He didn't
There's a
direct this
rap
one,
song.
right? I know he didn't direct Shin Ultraman. He was like producer or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I assumed he didn't direct this one, but maybe he did.
He directed and wrote Kamen Rider,
Oh, okay, cool.
and it shows.
Because he's a nerd.
Yeah, I guess
I would-
he couldn't pass up the chance.
I would say everything about this movie was good except the ending. I was confused. Which I find typical of like Hideaki Anno stories sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like I've switched the vibes now. They're not bad vibes, but also what the fuck is happening? Yeah, Morgan, you get it.
We've gone to Vibe Town.
Yep. But yeah, pretty good. I would recommend if you have any kind of passing interest. I think it's a good time. All right, and that's it for me. So I guess we will wrap up what you've been reading, which is fine because we have a lot to talk about with our main segment. Did Darfox just pose a Henshin pose, or was that the Ultraman?
No, it was the cross for the crucifix.
For Hideaki Anno. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Before we get to our main segment, let's talk about next week. Next week we will be continuing our retrospective on Ooku. We'll be looking at volumes 7, 8, and 9. So make sure you stay tuned for that next week. Okay, everybody, we're going to drop the stream for just a second, take a quick break. And when we come back, it'll be time to continue our retrospective on Ooku, the Inner Chambers. Welcome back, everybody. It is time for part 2 of our Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective. This is a manga series done by Fumi Yoshinaga. She started it in 2005. And last time we talked about the first 3 volumes. This time we are continuing with volumes 4, 5, and 6. Let me just talk about the localization team. The English edition is put out by Viz.
Sorry, I didn't want you to go into the full localization team because you're like super robot-y. So it's probably okay for the recording, but it won't be good for the stream.
Okay. Do I sound okay right now?
Nope.
Okay, hold on, everybody. Check.
Say a little more.
Hello, how is it going?
No. You still got it for some reason.
Damn.
Last time this happened, it kind of went away on its own, but it took a few minutes.
Okay, hold on.
Is Steam downloading something?
It's so weird because before we started recording, you were fine.
Yeah, literally the moment you hit record, your voice went. We're still live on the stream, so y'all get to see some live tech support.
I'm shutting down some things just to check. Hold on.
Shit
How do I
happens when
sound?
you record.
Any change?
No.
Well, extreme measures. I will restart my computer.
Well, before you do that, do you want to just double check the recording and make sure you came out okay? And then we're just waiting for the stream.
Hold on. Okay, it is very bad, so give me a second, everybody.
Okay. Surprised it was bad on the recording.
Yeah, I would have thought it was a connection issue.
Oh, okay. So it might actually be mechanical. Well, bonus podcast for the stream people. What's up, everybody?
Now you can see how the sausage is made.
Yes. The fact that it appeared in Doug's recording means that it's probably his mic. So, I think rebooting might not help him, but we shall see. Anybody out there in internet land want to start their own podcast over the internet? First, you gotta check if it's the internet. Then you gotta check if it's your cables on your mic.
Gotta jiggle that cord.
Wiggle, wiggle. Boop, 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 boop.
I've been thinking I might need to get new headphones soon. I still have the ones that you guys sent me back when I was a guest, and the
I don't even remember that.
y'all sent me a pair of headphones, just regular gaming headphones. But they're starting to peel after 4 years of continuous use.
Oh, it might have been like a pretty cheap one because I was using cheap headsets back then, and then my headsets aren't super expensive now, but they're more expensive.
Hello.
Oof. Yeah,
You're still a robot.
Damn. Have you if it came on the recording, it might be some mechanical. Like try unplugging and replugging your mic stuff. It might be like a weird connection thing.
Hello.
Oh,
that's so much better.
There you go.
Okay, it might have been a connection.
Great. Okay, like I interrupted you when you started talking about the credits.
Oh, I'm just gonna redo it.
Okay. We've been streaming
Ignore
the whole time.
this on the live thing. This
Okay.
is what we have to do sometimes, everybody.
Less often than we used to.
We've avoided it for the most part, but yeah,
feel like
sometimes this stuff happens.
We've had a good
The
run for
magic
a
of
while.
podcast editing.
Say something again.
Hello? Is it
Okay.
still fucked up?
Okay, I got scared there for a second. You good?
Okay. So, sorry, I rebooted, so everything is like popping back up. Connection with your phone, the Xbox app. It's like, please. Okay, here we go. Okay, we are back, everybody. We had some technical issues, but we have fixed things. And now it is time to do our part 2 on Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective. This series is done by Fumi Yoshinaga. The English edition is put out by Viz. Let me just bring up the localization team for you all. While that loads up, I'll mention that she started the series in 2005. So translation and adaptation is done by Akemi Wegmuller. Touch-up art and lettering, Mona Lisa de Assis. Design, Francis O. Liddell. And editor, Pancha Diaz. So at least for Volume 4, it is the same creative team that we saw in Volume 1. I'll have to keep an eye to see if that changes. Alright, let me read the copy we have here on the Viz website for Volume 4. Despite Iemitsu and Arikoto's best efforts, there is no male heir to take over the shogunate. As the red-faced pox continues to ravage the country, it becomes increasingly clear within Edo Castle that Japan's continued existence relies on overturning the centuries of custom that define it. So yes, in Volume 4, 5, and 6, we get to see the end of the first female shogun Tokugawa Iemitsu's reign. We cover a little into Tokugawa Ietsuna, Iemitsu's daughter, her reign, and that kind of finishes Arikoto's story. And then for the majority of 4, 5, and 6, we focus on the 5th shogun, Tokugawa Tsunayoshi. And her story is very interesting. It's the drama is deep with her. And at the end of Volume 6, we get to see Tokugawa Ienobu, the 6th shogun, take over, though that reign is very short. And we also see Tokugawa Yoshimune, the 8th shogun that we saw in Volume 1, appear as a young girl. And so we get to see what happened with her family and her elder sisters as well. But that is the general setup for Volumes 4, 5, and 6. Darfox, were you able to read all 3 volumes this time?
Yes.
Congrats! Let's talk about it.
Was I able to comprehend everything?
Okay, man.
Yes.
Don't worry. Just give us. You're here for the vibes. Give me your vibes.
I have a few questions, but I also have kind of an impression. Hold on.
Okay. Why don't you start with your impression first, and then we'll go into your questions in our Ooku, the Inner Chambers retrospective corner, answering Darfox's questions.
Okay. So, one of my issues with this story, it's not like it's super super complicated or super. I mean, if you start to consider the historical context, it does get pretty complicated. But I'm not doing that because I don't know historical context.
You gave up.
I mean, it gives you all you need to know, and it's mixing it with its alternate history. So I'm not taking it as fact because I don't want to pollute my brain with any false facts. Right?
Oh, I forgot to mention that, didn't I? That this is Ooku, the Inner Chambers is a gender swapped story of the Tokugawa shogunate during the Edo period of Japan.
It's alternate history that follows a lot of the same steps, but with different kind of flourishes, it seems.
Mm-hmm. The shoguns have been replaced by female shoguns because the male population in Japan is down to a quarter or a fifth of what it is.
I think
it climbed back up to quarter.
Yeah.
Okay, but yeah, males they need to be preserved so they can sire heirs. So women take over the jobs.
Yeah. So the I have extremely short term memory when I read this book because like whenever I'm like hanging out with one of these shogunate, like I don't remember who came before it. I don't remember how they showed up. I don't remember like who they're related to. So like I'm very much living in the moment of the story. Like for example, the um Arikoto was with the other one. Um
The
and sh
third female, the first female shogun, and the third Tokugawa shogun, Iemitsu.
is Iemitsu the young one?
No, that is the fourth one. Iemitsu's daughter, Ietsuna.
Okay, so it's okay. So the one before that was the mother of Itsuna.
Yeah,
Or okay.
it's Iemitsu is the mother, and then the daughter was Ietsuna, the fourth.
So these are the details that like I totally just forget as I'm reading the book, especially when we got to the one we spent the most time with was
Tsunayoshi,
yeah,
the fifth.
Yoshi. Like my whole world became Tsuyoshi. Like I could not remember like anything that existed outside of her. I was like one of the people in the chamber who was like in love with her. I was like, where did she come from? I don't know. She's always been here. She's just like from God or something. So like that is my big struggle with reading this book is that like I just have like low fact like retention, and it's all like, which is maybe not a bad thing. I think the author would maybe want me more focusing on the characters' particular plights at the moment as opposed to all the details. But I'm sure they would also like me to pay attention to all the details as well because they spend a lot of time on that too. So it hasn't broken me yet. I still am following it and enjoying it, but like I've recognized while reading this book, I was like halfway through like volume 5, and I was like, how the fuck did we get here?
Yeah.
Like what? Where am I?
I have the same problem, Dar. I think I might have a slightly better handle on the continuity, but also like I just keep saying to my husband like there are so many shogun. I can't keep track of the shogun. And because we're kind of yo-yoing a little bit back and forth, I did recognize when they introduced the
young
eighth
Yoshimune. Right?
I did figure out who that was. I was like, oh, okay, because they kind of made it like this is the only time that these two will ever meet. I'm like, oh, okay, she's important, right? I recognize that name. But,
she's the plain girl,
right? But yeah, it's definitely there's a lot of people, and a lot of them, especially like the men, a lot of them have the same like good looks. So there's a lot of me going, okay, which handsome guy is this? And there was Arikoto, and then there was Akimoto, who was the guy with the glasses, right?
Yes,
and I was like,
that's during the reign of Yoshi.
Yes.
Not Yoshitsune. Tsunayoshi.
Tsunayoshi. And
again with the names too. We're
yes.
like, oh.
And I knew that they weren't the same person, but I was like, wait a second, wasn't that the other guy's name? No, that was okay. There's just but the drama's great.
Drama is high and rich in these 3 volumes.
And terrible. It's great and terrible.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of bullshit going on in these. I mean, that was volume 2, but like there was a lot of stuff happening. I have to say though, I think Fumio Yoshinaga is really good at setting you up to like really hate a character, especially some of the shogun when they do terrible things, and then kind of like redeems them, especially as they get older or as bad things happen to them, and she's really good at humanizing these characters, I think.
Oh yeah, I know you're talking about Tsunayoshi, the 5th shogun.
She's a mess.
I would say that they were good at that, even in something like what did you eat yesterday? Which is obviously like the stakes are way smaller. But like they would introduce these characters and they're kind of standoffish, or you're like, damn, this character's kind of like weird, or this character is like a bigot. But then like they'd keep popping up, and it'd be like, okay, they kind of have their deal, but they're generally not like bad people. I think they kind of have a handle on people in that way.
Verily.
Forsooth 'tis so.
Darfox, you had questions, right? Did you have more questions?
Oh yeah. Okay, so this isn't even historical questions, or it may be historical. I guess my question is there a historical context that I'm missing here? But like, it's really hard to have kids for these shoguns. It's just a repeated problem. And is there's like, and I know that's like a huge thing in history and also in like fiction about like royalty and people in charge that they want heirs and stuff like that. It's a big source of drama. But like, is there like a missing context that I don't know of that like why it'd be like this difficult? Like,
Well, I'm just gonna speak from like from a biological
yeah,
perspective. Like, it has always been hard for some women to conceive. I think that like now in the modern age we have IVF. We have ways of getting pregnant. With science, and they didn't really have that, and they didn't know like if somebody had trouble getting pregnant, they couldn't figure out the cause in the same way that we could. Like, there might be ways with minor medical interventions that you could still conceive now, right? Without going full IVF. But I think part of it is just the lack of science and the fact that like human reproduction is kind of fucked. But also, and I don't know if this is true of the like Japanese lineage, but I know certainly for Europe, like there's a lot of inbreeding, and that does not make for healthy humans who can then continue to procreate. Because
I was kind of wondering about that. I was kind of wondering, there's something about this lineage of shoguns that like men and women in history that were just like famously like, infertile one way or the other, or if it's just the way history cracked down.
So the other thing to consider is in the real history. I mean, and I don't know the specifics of these people, but it was much more common for children to die soon after they're born. We have a much lower infant mortality rate in the modern day than we did in all throughout history. And it was very common for women to die in childbirth or soon after. They call it childbed fever. Basically, get an infection and die. It was very common. And I don't know that that was the case in this situation, but when you think about historically, she's made it so that these shogun are not able to conceive children. But I would not be surprised if historically the shogun were not able to keep the children that were born, or because mother and child died, right? Things like that might have happened in order for this kind of issue to continue, where we're vying for for whoever is the next heir, because getting pregnant, having babies historically has been extraordinarily dangerous, and it is shocking to me that we as a species have lived this long. Like, it's dangerous. You could die. I mean, and a lot of women throughout history have died. And then there are women who have popped out like 14 babies and they've been fine. I don't know. I don't get it. But childbearing and giving birth screws with your body, and modern medicine has made it so that is a much smoother process. But yeah, I think historically it's not been great for anyone.
Okay.
I think historically, Tsunayoshi had 2 kids. Yeah. One was a daughter who got married off to the key domain. That's the same domain, Darfox, where you get Yoshimune in the future. And then he had a son, but the son died at age 5. It's the same story in this story, except it was a daughter in Oak. As far as not being able to conceive, I don't know if historically we can get some facts from Seamus Sensei. Domo, please help.
I don't know.
All right, there you go. There's your answer. Thank you, Seamus Sensei.
That works really well as a bit.
There might also just not be a whole lot of record of like, especially, I mean, it's probably not a great point of pride if you can't have babies, right? If you can't father children, that's probably pretty shameful. But also, like, if kids didn't make it, if there were miscarriages, if people died, I don't know how well the record would like be concerned with those if they're not, going to inherit.
I think historically, like Fumiyoshi Naga tried to match a lot of stuff with the historical, like the male versions of the shogun, except for Iemitsu, the third shogun, and her romance with Arikoto. She died very early compared to the male version, but I think they did that because she took over for the male version, right? In the middle of his reign, she became the female version of Iemitsu.
Right.
So to match it up with the timeline, I think they made the choice to kill her off before she reached that age. Yeah, let's Morgan, you already talked a little bit about your thoughts on these 3 volumes you read, but yeah, you got to read more Ooku past where you ever read before?
Yes, much past.
What do you have to say?
Oh god, these people need therapy. I mean, I think that's my answer to a lot of things when we read manga, but I mean, we've got, was it Akimoto with the glasses? He is in love with his sister and they had a baby. Cool.
Yeah. And he had a happy ending.
Yeah.
His happy ending was to return to his sister.
Which, like, on the one hand, I'm like, okay, I guess I'm happy for him. We were talking a little bit about this issue of conception, and it was interesting to me when was it Tsunayoshi?
Tsunayoshi is the 5th shogun and the main character.
She's
yeah.
Gyokue's daughter, right?
Yes.
Which I mean, I liked having him as a daughter monk man. He's ridiculous. He's a lot of fun. But she's laughing, because he's like, "Oh, you'll have a baby soon," and she's laughing. And she's like, "I haven't had my menses in years," and I'm like, "Are you even 40 yet? Wait, what do you mean? You've already been through menopause?" Like, that was interesting to me. I know that, again, historically, women menstruated much shorter than they do now, and much less frequently. That's another thing. Was not necessarily a monthly thing. But the like, it's like she's very young to not be able to have, to not have periods, but or at least she seemed so. I had a hard time clocking the passage of time, I think, a little bit, because suddenly she was an old lady. But yeah,
Tsunayoshi lived till 62, Morgana, so...
Okay, so that, I mean, she was in her 40s or 50s. That's pretty young. I mean, I guess it depends. Some people, it's earlier than others. But anyway. Yeah, she was one who, we started off and I was kind of like, oh, this lady's terrible. She was, like, sleeping with one of the Baron's husbands in order to, like, it was terrible. It was awful, like...
Oh, she ruined that family.
She destroyed them. And like, oh, it was just awful. And like, and so I'm prepared to like hate her. And then she becomes, I actually get a lot of sympathy for. By the end, I'm like, man, that's so hard. Like, your life is hard. And then the end of her life was wild, with her valet like just straight up smothering her with a wet towel.
Yeah, right after she almost gets like choked to death by her consort as well. Remember that guy? Everybody, even she was like, "Who are you?"
Right?
Because we're all like, "Huh? This guy hasn't been in the story forever."
I do. In fact, remember that guy.
Yeah, and his face is so nondescript too. Like, there's so many like interesting looking men, and then there's like this asshole. Like, what's up with him? I like that Arikoto came back. I'm fascinated by the fact that he like outlived Gyokue like by quite a bit, and that he was like because he was older than him, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, a lot of sad. I don't know, it was a lot of sad. There was that guy, Sakyo was his name.
Oh, that's for the 6th shogun, right?
Yeah, when he had been like His mother was terrible.
Yep, his mother was making him have sex with him and having their kids.
Yeah, he gave birth to his own siblings. He fathered his own siblings, I should say.
Mhm.
That's not cool, guys. I mean, talk about again. There's a lot of incest in this group. The incest
Yep.
chapters.
I'm going to say that there's probably a lot more incest than we think in the history of society.
Oh,
We
I'm
just,
sure.
You know, you start mass genetic testing people, you probably find out some pretty disturbing stuff.
Frightening. I don't know. As somebody with a sister, I find this baffling because I love my sister, but not that much, or not that way. But yeah, I really liked. I'm like jumping back and forth because I'm like thinking about all the different. There's a lot that went on. There was, if I can remember how to pronounce his name, Monske. He was
Yeah.
the senior chamberlain.
He's the one who showed up from Kyoto for Tsunayoshi, and he looked just like Arikoto. Again, confusing us.
Yes.
But
And
he was
like,
much more shrewd.
yeah, very ambitious. And I was like, oh, this asshole. And then he became like this interesting, cool character who I felt, I was just like, oh my God, these people. And he had that, and I'm seeing the cover now as it flashes on the screen. He had that nice gray streak thing going on in his hair.
A lot
Love
of
it.
silver foxes.
So many. I really think that Fumi Yoshinaga's entire goal here was, I'm really into this specific part of history and I like sexy men, and this is my excuse to draw sexy men in historical costumes. And there she goes. And you know what? More power to her.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I'm enjoying it. I am a little bit confused, and like it's like watching a train wreck. Like there's so much bullshit that's going on and I can't look away, but also I'm very confused about how all this happened.
It's Fumi Yoshinaga has weaved a incredibly entertaining tale of woe, all while staying in historical confines. So it's very, very impressive.
I mean, she knows a lot. She knows a lot about this period of time, and I'm fascinated by that she like got really into this and then was like, okay, but let's make it a drama.
Well, one thing about this series as it was coming out, Morgana, the volumes came out like maybe one a year. And we can see why. So much research, so much planning had to be made to like figure out how to set up the story and the drama. It's no wonder that like the release pace of the series was. I remember, Seamus, when you were buying the new volumes, you were like, "Oh, a new volume of Ooku actually came out this year."
Once I got caught up, it was like once a year you got your volume.
Yeah, a slow pace. That is.
Try to remember what the fuck happened in the last volume.
Go back and reread multiple times.
Try and remember who's who.
Yeah, Seamus. How was it reading 4, 5, and 6? Were you having a better understanding this time, or you already got it the first time?
To be honest, I remember nothing of what I read the first time. I have like vague memories, and also just like reading Japanese history. I got it like 4 and 5 because they all got old and were like, Jesus, what the fuck do we do with our lives?
Yeah.
That whole arc, because that was like the first time. Because I think it was a bit confusing. I think the time skip where you start off, you jump back, and then it makes it. But like here, where it's like, no, we're just following them through. We're just gonna go, and because she does live long enough compared to a lot of the rest of them, you kind of get to spend more time with her and the people in her life compared to like, oh, this person was there for like 2 years and they died, or 4 years. So like, yeah, here's like one chapter, they're dead now. Let's move on. She lived so long, and the whole thing with, and this is historically too, the like dog edicts, how she's kind of not that well looked regarded in like history.
Nicknamed the Dog Shogun.
Yes.
Okay.
I was born in the year of the dog.
Yes. I have to say, I thought that was the most impressive shit in this manga so far. That Tokugawa Tsunayoshi, the fifth shogun, who's like we read mostly about in these 3 volumes, her father, back in volume 2, killed the cat. And Fumi Yoshinaga tied that to the fact that the real-life Tokugawa Tsunayoshi passed this edict about protecting animals and, cherishing life of all living creatures. Because in this Ooku, it's mostly like, the Gyokue, that character, is like, why can't Tsunayoshi have a child? What's going on? And he goes to a monk to ask for advice, and he's like, yeah, you took a life of a creature in your youth. And then he remembers, and it's like the biggest shock to him. It's like, yeah, that's what you get for killing a cat. But to tie that up from volume 2, like, did she has to have known? She knew that character would eventually be the father of this Tsunayoshi, and tied it so like that was the reason why those laws got passed. And I think that's always the most impressive thing. The long-term storytelling.
It could just be like she was like, well, the dog are going to pass this law, right? And to go for the good reason. What have I done so far? Oh yeah, the father killed the cat. There we go.
Possibly as well.
Can I say though, that's a fucked up looking cat though. Like, like that cat.
Didn't it deserve to die?
No. I actually like ugly cats. I like cats like the hairless cats, and I like the like really Persian cats with like the fucking like negative nose. I like all cats actually. I think all cats are cute, even like the fucking ugly ones. But that cat, like, it just like it had like pitch black eyes, and it was just like really. It looked like a creature. It looked like a gremlin. I don't know.
Maybe Fumi Yoshinaga is just not used to drawing cute animals.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe she should have paid like one assistant who was good at drawing animals for one afternoon to just draw that one panel, and it will be good. It just that threw me off because like overall this book is pretty impeccable, but I was like, what the fuck is up with that cat? It looks like a creature.
You ever see like Renaissance paintings of cats and they just can't figure out how the fuck a cat looks?
Yeah.
Flat faces, human noses, like.
Oh, one thing I wanted to mention that we forgot to mention last episode is that there are like a couple instances where we aren't just talking about the Shogun and the inner chambers. We get to see the common folk. Like there was a storyline about like a family of just peasants. Sato, I think, was the character. And she took over because, the father passed away, all the boys passed away, and they're tending the fields, and eventually she dies of sickness from overworking. But there are, like, some scenes of, like, the general townsfolk, especially in Volume 5, of them talking about how they don't like the Shogun Tsunayoshi.
I mentioned last time how interesting it was that Fumi Yoshinaga has made it so that we have this subversion, right? We have, for all intents and purposes, a matriarchy, but that we've continued to keep these like established norms from the past. Like, for example, all the shogun and the lords all take male names, right? So we have this kind of idea of like masculine hierarchy. And in these bits where we're looking at the like average townspeople, there's talk about how women now are doing all the manual labor, but they are also still doing all the women's work, like rearing children and cooking and cleaning and things. And I was just like, this is just what happened when women got the right to work out of the house. Like this is completely realistic. And it's terrible. But I'm really impressed because I really think that like so much of the way we've tried to gain progress has just been like a mile marker of like how much can women take on men's jobs, how much can women be like men, and there's still women who operate like this. Like the only way I'm going to be successful is if I can be as masculine as possible. in a certain way, and it's really interesting that is coming through even in this kind of fiction where everything is reversed. It is not a feminist fantasy, is what I'm saying, guys.
No, it's funny because when you hear the concept, you're like, oh, cool. Gender swapped shogun, so it's about a matriarchy. And then you read it, and it's like, no, not at all.
No, this is terrible, and I do not want it.
It's because they're kind of pantomiming how it was previously.
And also, let me tell you, it's terrible. I like the idea of having to be a concubine and bear children is terrible. The idea that even as the ruler of the of a group of people or a large land, you still like your chief function is to get pregnant is like so. It's so demoralizing because these women are like powerful and smart and interesting, a good deal of them, but this is what they've been, well, it's kind of like that guy Sakyo was talking about, because he was used and abused by his mother so much he couldn't stand the idea of anybody who thought of him as an object of desire, as just for sex, as just for his seed. That's that is the function of women historically, and that is in even in this context, even when they've risen to power, that is their function. It's terrible.
It was very sad what happened between Sakyo and the sixth shogun, Iyanobu. Iyanobu was a very...
I liked her.
Yeah, but like true to real Iyanobu, only served as shogun for 3 years.
Only the good die young.
I wonder if we'll see more of that, like those characters, because that's Volume 6 ends with the death of Iyanobu. So
I think yes, because I think this is now we're hitting the next volume or volumes. It's like whenever like a specific book about one particular character who I don't think they've actually appeared yet, and maybe they actually don't, because I don't know if she's interested in like going into that side of the history. But they do mention like an incident at the end, where I was like, oh, that all kind of like ties into like upcoming stuff, kind of like a power struggle like within the Bakufu.
Oh, the mid-Edo period greatest scandal, the Ejima Ikushima affair.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember it, but yeah, it's we have caught up to the point where we started in Volume 1. Because I think in Volume 1, the first time we saw the Ooku, it was Ietsugu. Well, she was still alive. And it will be, it will be followed by her daughter, the 7th shogun, which is a child. This is where we saw the Mizuno story, and then end up with the which one is Yoshimune the 8th?
I think that's what we said, yeah.
Yeah. What did you all think about that story about the 47 Ronin that happened here? Did you recognize that, Darfox?
No, the ones who came in to kill that woman?
Yes, to avenge their master.
No, I didn't realize that was a whole 47 Ronin thing.
Yeah, you've seen that Keanu Reeves movie, 47 Ronin.
Yeah, very historically accurate, I would say, too. With like witches and stuff. Tengu? I think it's Tengu in that movie.
Yeah, that movie itself is very fantastical, but that story is a real story of the 47 Ronin, and it's a very popular tale. And it was interesting to see Fumio Yoshinaga, switch it up around in how it would play out in a matriarchy.
Kind of just played out the exact same.
You think?
Yeah. Well, like that. Well, I don't know. That whole incident between the two people, I think that's no one's exactly sure what the real story is there, because it was all kind of like, they said he's in Reddit it was he said, the other person said after the fact. But everything else in terms of like they waited the time, they killed them all. the shogun basically was like, okay, well, you're not running anymore, you're a samurai, but you have to like, commit seppuku, the land confiscation, like that all like lines up with what actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
The interpretation of, okay, like what was the inciting incident? Like what the fuck, what exactly was going on like there? I think like a lot of it was here, I think historically it's either, because there's like two people she was dealing with, both of them didn't like her, and no one's quite sure, is it like, basically she was, okay, the actual person was like, well, you gotta, essentially give me a gift, aka bribe me, and they were disagreeing over that, like what it was. A weapon was pulled, and they waited like 2 years to plan the attack, which is what they got criticized for. Some guy was like, nah, they should just like attack them straight away, even if they died. The fact that they waited 2 years showed they valued their lives too highly. They're not real samurai. Real samurai would have been like, ah, fuck it, we go tomorrow, we all die, it doesn't matter.
What about the edict she did against them after the words that they no. Wait, what did she do? No male can be a samurai after that, or something like that.
No male heir. Well, that
No
didn't
male
really
area,
happen.
yeah.
There was no change there. That was one bit that was like added, I guess. But then that was also like immediately gotten rid of when she dies.
Right. The
It
next
doesn't really
the
have
next
any
one just
effect.
reverted. I assume the dog edict it was historically accurate.
Yes,
It is.
That's why they're called the dog shogun.
Edicts on compassion for living things.
It's a nice idea on paper. In practice, it's ridiculous.
What it's just the yeah, like in practice, like the idea that like you can't in no circumstance hurt an animal.
Like, were they still eating animals?
I
They
think
ate
so.
chickens.
I
Yeah.
assume they ate a lot less meat back then, anyways.
Well, see, it was specifically dogs because they were born in the year of the dog. Like that's why they specifically mentioned dogs. So it was like tied into their, like the specific shogun's actual, I don't know, whatever astrology or
The
specific
zodiac,
to the,
Chinese zodiac.
yeah, Chinese zodiac. As opposed to if they were born in the year of the horse, I guess they'd be like, can't kill horses. Is there a year of the horse?
Yes, I'm Year of the Horse.
I'm year of the chicken.
Year of the horse is supposed to be good for boys, but bad for girls. Think I heard.
Yeah, well, life's tough.
How's it going, Morgana?
Yeah, you know.
Or I think it was horse. I'm a rabbit. Not sure what that means.
My son is a rabbit.
He's good company.
Something we have not talked about that much is the fourth shogun, Ietsuna.
The baby.
The baby of Iemitsu that fell in love with Arikoto. Ooh, tough for Arikoto.
Yeah.
That guy just could not catch a fucking break.
He did an accidental grooming. Like, oops, I did a grooming.
I mean, he knew better to stick around after that. He was like, I wish to be dismissed from my position as
See
senior
ya.
Chamberlain. And then that literally just ends the tale of the fourth shogun.
I think she's like, and then she dies. It's
Yep. She was known as the I do so shogun. Just like taking whatever advice. They did cover the big fire that happened, which was a real event during Ietsuna's reign. But yeah, I guess there's nothing much to say about.
well, there
her
was
as well.
also the attempted overthrow that also happened,
Oh right, that
but it
started
didn't really
that.
go
Yeah,
anywhere.
yeah. They caught them and like they quashed it. Yeah, like just the majority of the story really focuses on Tsunayoshi, and her entire reign is fucking crazy. just everything that happens. We already mentioned we're introduced to her where she like destroys a family in pursuit of like the men in that family. And a little game of like political cat and mouse with Emonnosuke, but that ultimately turns into like a respectable romance between those two as well. And then the downfall of Tsunayoshi as like a woman who can't bear an heir, and she's losing her mind. What did she say? She's like, I care not for politics anymore. Like she just kind of gives up on everything, which leads to like more of her downfall.
Or I think it leads to her downfall. I think it's just like her bad reputation.
Okay, yeah.
It's not like anyone who's like, all right, we gotta kill her. Well, someone tried, but
Yeah, there was an assassination
A
attempt.
few people tried. Only one succeeded.
Mm-hmm. The relationship between her and her, what was her position?
Was she valet of the chamber? Was she?
I can't remember, but
she was like the senior privy councillor, something like that. Because I think Inosuke was like the senior valet, the senior chamberlain. Or I think what's her name?
Yoshiyasu was the name of
Yes.
the character. Okay, can someone explain to me why Yoshiyasu snuffed out Tsunayoshi?
Mercy?
It was a mercy killing.
Mercy or possession. I mean, she talked about how some twisted combination of the two.
Everyone is in love with you in the inner chambers.
Including
Maybe
her.
she was as well.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I got out of that.
Yeah, I felt like it was like a last bit of control of like, because she could never have her in any way, but she could like kill her.
Couldn't have the little debt with her, but you could have the big one.
She was having a relationship with Tsunayoshi's father, and so
yeah,
and that was sad. That was another moment that like Tsunayoshi like really like fucked her up as well. God, so much woe, so much strife. The inner chambers.
I like how after assassination attempt, the guy who actually tried to stab her, in the pretense of like sleeping with her, she was like, "Yeah, he's right about everything he said."
right. She's no fool.
I guess curs are another word for dogs.
Yeah, it's like a stray, like a mutt. It's like a
Okay.
derogatory term.
Okay, the dude's brother got ripped apart by a pack of dogs, and I guess nobody wanted to touch the dogs because of the edict.
Oh, the assassin? Yeah, it was his wife.
Imagine the XL bullies back then. Oh wait, is that a thing over here in the US? Do you talk about that a lot?
About what?
thing?
About XL bullies?
Exhale bullies?
They're a dog breed. This is a big thing in the UK and to a lesser extent Ireland.
Like a violent dog breed, like a aggressive dog breed.
The American bully, okay. Yeah, they're like this breed of dog that's like basically built like a brick shithouse.
Is it a pit bull?
And it's like a breed of pit bull.
Yeah, pitties have a very bad reputation here, which is a shame.
But they're so sweet. My doggie's so sweet.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking at pictures of American Bully. Yeah,
Yeah, the American Bully looks like it's built like a brick house, literally. It is a swole dog for sure.
They're like big dogs, very aggressive. Just the whole thing. The UK, I think, more or less banned them after like there was like a load of attacks where they were like attacking and killing people. There's a whole thing over in the UK where they were like, oh, they're taking away our dogs and we love our dogs, and oh, it's it's the training. They're well trained. It's like, no, like you bred a dog to be like very like strong and aggressive. Because I don't know why, but it's a thing. It's a bit in Ireland as well. I think Ireland are kind of banning it as well, or like restricting it.
That's funny. That's like an actual dog breed that actually, has the reputation and, lives up to it, as opposed to American Pit Bulls, which have the bad reputation. But they're so sweet.
But also a really great reason not to have purebred dogs, guys. It's not good for the dogs. It's not good for us. This is how I feel about it.
Unlike a mutts.
Yeah. Purebreds tend to be a little strung up.
And in poor health. I mean, a lot of them have I know purebred small dogs, a lot of them get hip dysplasia, or they have trouble breathing, or they, it's just terrible. This is why interspecies marriage is great. I guess they're the same species if they're dogs, but you know what I mean.
This is why Legoshi and Haru are great.
Oh, they boned. It's canon now. There was a Beast Complex chapter about it. They did the sex. Congratulations, everybody. You've been waiting for it. Anyway, getting back to Ooku.
Where everybody's doing the sex.
Are there any characters we didn't mention? The death of M. Monosuke was very sad. He finally has sex with Tsunayoshi, and then the next day, he just fucking
dies. You know what, though? I was wondering, because he kept complaining about headaches and things.
Yes.
I was wondering... Sorry, my grandfather clock is dinging. No. I was wondering if he had, brain tumor, honestly.
Possibly. Just dramatic timing-wise, it's the most.
Well, it's because if you actually read the bit, it's she tells her father, it's right, I'm going with the person you hate, and he grabs her. I don't know what you call outer coat. I don't know what the actual term is.
The actual shogun robe or whatever.
Yeah, but it's very much it's almost like she's free now after telling him that, and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go see Inosuke now," and then it's he's dead. There you go.
Him actually fucking her was I'm retiring in 1 week kind of speech that a cop has. That was
just one more week, and I can retire off the force.
That was the end of him. if they never actually got together, he would have lived to 80.
It was his Make-A-Wish Foundation wish to get with her before he died of his brain tumor or whatever.
Oh, we didn't talk about the one character, Denbei.
That guy.
It's the one where Tsunayoshi had her first daughter with, who unfortunately passed away very young, same as the historical accurate son of Tsunayoshi. But yeah, he got fooled into going into his own palace by himself, and then finally, after what was it? Is it after Tsunayoshi's father passed away? She finally comes back to visit so they can mourn their child together.
So
that
sad.
was very sad and sweet. Yeah.
They do just with her. It's they just all die. It's Inosuke's dead, father's dead. This bitch, boom, she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, speaking of children, I've decided that mine should now start calling me Honored Mother. like all the children here call their parents honored mother, honored father. I said this out loud, and James was like, maybe you should just worry about making sure your kids actually honor you instead of not calling you honored mother. So my name is now honored mother.
Isn't that what they call him in the Dune books?
Reverend Mother is it in the Doom
Is
books?
it? Oh, they call him what?
Her mother, I believe, is the leader.
Oh no, I'm thinking of something that happens way later in those books.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, don't ask me. I've only read the first one.
Yeah, it's not good. Frank Herbert has some ideas on women and sex. That's
I
it only
bet.
gets worse. It only gets worse.
I'm not surprised.
Honored Worm.
Honored Matter. Is that it? Maybe they're like a different group. They show up in like 5 books. It's Far to the Future.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we should mention or that I wanted to mention.
What was in Volume 6? Like, Volume 6 was like the ending of Tsunemori.
Tsunayoshi, yeah.
I never want to get the name wrong. Right, I apologize to the Shogun.
We're getting names wrong left and right. It's fine. Welcome to Manga Vaccinations.
It was the end, but then there was the flashback bit. Where they flash back before the next Shogun was a Shogun.
Yeah, we get a little flashback of that. We also get we saw right before Tsunayoshi passes away a lot of flashbacks about her relationship. You know, that family that she ruined at the beginning, giving a little bit more context to that. Also, like when she met her first consort Denbei, that kind of stuff. But yeah, we saw also the 8th Shogun, who's still young, Yoshimune. In the first volume, she talked about she was only chosen as Shogun because her parents passed away. No, not her parents. Her sisters passed away. We saw both of her sisters die very quickly. I think there was people thought they were poisoned as well, so but not proven. So that's why it's left a little ambiguous here.
Yeah, as a kid, as a girl, you grow up and you're kind of told like, oh, wouldn't you like to be a princess? It's so glamorous, be a princess. No, I do not want to be royalty. It sounds terrible. Everybody's trying to kill you all the time. Not a good place to
I'm
be.
next in line? Fuck, I'm gonna die.
Right? Like, I'd rather not, thanks. You can have it. I don't care.
It's very sad that the 6 Shoguns' reign, and even what was happening in the inner chambers, everything seemed to be on the up and up, and things were improving. But it just ends so fast.
I think because she's constrained by when they die in history, they're dying here, so she can't
She can't spin out the fantasy. Yeah.
It's like you can't be like, oh, we're gonna have a happy story. It's like with this character, that character dies in 2 years, so
just put in this story about this man Sakyo.
Or with the guy with the glasses, it's like, hey, he got to go back to his family.
Akimoto, yeah.
Yeah, just do it with the characters who aren't in history. They are, or if they are, they're there's not a whole lot about them, so you can kind of write what you want.
Minor enough that it's not a lot about them.
I hope we get to see a lot of Yoshimune then, because Yoshimune had a long rule and lived till age 66.
I'm trying to remember. I feel like there's a good run with her. Then I'm like, am I just thinking of a different Shogun? Because I feel like there's one in particular I remember where it's a lot of it focused on her relationship with her. I don't know what you call it, number 2 person who she knew from a young age. But I'm not sure, is it this one or is it maybe coming later?
Oh, we met that character. They become the intermediary between the Shogun and the inner chambers.
Yes, I'm trying to think, is that the run I'm thinking of? I think it must be, but then I'm just fuck it, there's so many of them, who knows?
I know. Well, I was rereading these volumes, I was like, oh yeah, I remember this story. But also, I had totally forgotten about this story. So I have no idea what's happening in 7, 8, and 9. I only have a vivid memory of the last 4 volumes because they were like the newest ones. And I read them fairly recently, like within the last decade.
Recently, huh?
I'll say I've read those 4 volumes in the last 5 years as opposed to like all the other volumes here, which is beyond that.
Was it like 2005 or something it started?
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
But I didn't start reading. Did I start reading it from the beginning? I don't think so.
Why, that's a wild thought. That makes this like a 20-year-old series almost.
Mm-hmm.
It got me finished up wasn't it like 2 years ago, Dakazu?
Yeah, that's like I said, like the volumes came out at such a slow pace, Morgana.
Yeah, I mean, I remember even when I was working at Comicopia and it was not close to being done yet, it was slow. We'd get, like one a year.
2004 to 2020. That was the original run. 16
Wow.
years.
16 years for 19 volumes?
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, they're basically history textbooks with art. Beautiful art that probably takes time.
And this wasn't the only thing they were doing. They were also
Yeah, they were
No.
doing. They're still doing. What did you eat yesterday? And which is still ongoing.
That's been going for a while too.
I think she puts out like 8 chapter a month of that in a morning magazine. So
a chapter, not 8.
sometimes, like it's a slower pace. Like morning magazine is a Sunday magazine from Kodansha that comes out like every week, but you don't get, what did you eat yesterday every week. You get it like once a month, maybe. I want to say that's the pace, maybe less.
I'm kind of curious. I must try and line this up because I feel like to start coming out in English. Because like I was like going back looking up something completely unrelated to this. I was like trying to look up some like old person's blog who did like sci-fi reviews, and I saw that like they had done reviews of this back years ago. Because I think when I first came across it, it was like a science fiction review website was talking about like volume. I don't even know what volume. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I was like, oh, this sounds interesting.
It says the English edition of Volume 1 came out in 2009. So maybe dating as far back as that, Seamus. Is there anything else to mention about these 3 volumes of Ooku? Do we have any thoughts about Tsunayoshi's father, Gyokue? Going from killing cats to being like a grumpy, like, father of the shogun.
What a guy. I mean, despite his cat killing, I always liked him. And he continues to be I like how unchanged he is. I mean, he's obviously grown older and wiser and all that, but he's still very much the same like Spitfire kid who like has too many opinions, and he's just
he takes it personal, like in a way that Ari Kodo never did.
yeah. He's fun and a really interesting choice for a monk. I think like even from the beginning, like the only reason he did it was because he felt some kind of loyalty, right?
He was like a beggar, right?
Yeah, an orphan, and he had a rough life. I mean, before that, so
He's got a chip on his shoulder, dies with a chip
Yeah.
on his shoulder.
definitely. I love that. I mean, he was a cute kid. I kind of love that he like as he gets old, he looks old. Like Arikoto remains kind of serene and beautiful, and Gyokue kind of gets like, I mean, he's living the good life, right? So he's probably drinking a lot. He's getting a little puffy. He's got liver spots, but he's still kind of charming though. Like he still has, so he's aging more than Arikoto, even though Arikoto's older. But yeah, I like his character. I don't always agree with his character, but I appreciate him.
I guess. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and now we know why you have to call it a right honorable cat, even though the edicts
Very
were repealed.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about Ienobu's attendant? Ienobu was the sixth shogun that died, very quickly.
Oh, was it Lady Murase? What was that her name?
I think I'm just checking now.
Something like that. It started with an M.
Lady Chio? No, Lady Chio is the daughter. Lady Manabe.
Manabe.
Yeah. She was deeply. They mentioned, right? They were sharing a bed.
Yeah.
Ienobu, yeah.
Yeah, there's I'm really fascinated by these attendants who are so deeply loyal to these leaders. And how excited she gets when like she like everybody's telling Saki like, "Hey, she's into you, man. Like that's so cool." He's like, "Oh man." He's like maybe believing it, and then she's like, "Great. Now you can be the shogun's concubine." And he's like, She's like so excited about, the shogun having sex.
Mm-hmm. So I get it. Ienobu is she was a very good character and a good person.
Yeah, no, a really good person. I actually really liked the relationship that she had with Sakyo, and like the way she treated him with a lot of respect. She is the kind of leader I think that one would hope to have, right? And of course, again, she died young because we can't have nice things. Yeah,
the good die young.
Well, no, it's not the good die young; it's the young die good.
There you go. So you think if she had lasted longer, it was only a matter of time before she fucked up?
Isn't that what Batman says?
No, maybe. Why isn't he dead yet?
Let's see. I think that covers everything. Like I said at the beginning, it's mostly about Tsunayoshi's story. And she has quite the arc. But it's going to be exciting to see next week as we catch up to Yoshimune, sorry. See where the story goes in the next 3 volumes. Yeah, anything else to mention, Darfox? Any more questions you have for Mr. or Sensei Seamus?
No, at this point, I've forgotten more questions than I remembered. So it's just trucking along.
All you need to know is up next week, currency policy.
Oh, hell yeah.
Ooh.
Confucianism. Well, historically, yes. I don't know how much he's going to get into this. This is what actually they do bring it up here, don't they?
Yeah. They mentioned a bunch
some
of
inflation.
coins.
Yeah.
They're actually all debating the coinage, yeah.
Wasn't there some talk
Just
about
print
like
more.
philosophy?
Yes. The particular character I'm thinking of, I can't remember his name. It's like R.I. something or other. It's big into like stopping coin going out of the country and trying to argue from Confucianism the shogun is the real ruler of Japan, which is a problem given that the emperor exists.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
But I have actually no idea if they're going to show up in this. Like, they might even bother with that character.
Did I?
I think
Sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say historically, I think the sixth shogun Ieyasu restored some relationships between the Tokugawa and the emperor. Yeah, that's what happened. They actually like improved that relationship a bit, but only 3 years to do that. Go ahead, Dor.
I don't remember when they established where the emperor was. Like where's the emperor at?
The emperor is in Kyoto.
Okay, and Kyoto is still the capital?
Yes, it's west of Edo. Edo is where Tokyo is.
Okay. But the capital does move eventually.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but that's like after the end of the Edo period. Right, Seamus?
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
not,
like it doesn't
it's
become
never
like the
gonna be
official
covered.
capital till like basically once the Civil War is over and they're like, okay, we're actually making Tokyo the actual capital now, not
Okay.
the like. 'Cause Tokyo, hold on, does Tokyo mean East capital?
Yeah.
Kyoto mean West. Yeah.
It's East capital.
Like Kyoto is still like the capital because that's where the emperor is.
Mm-hmm. And we established on the first episode about the relationship between the shogunate, the Tokugawa shogunate, which are the military like rulers, and then the
Right.
actual Mikado, the emperor, which is like the descendant of the sun goddess.
Right. Yeah, I remember they did establish it, but I guess I forgot.
I
It's a
don't
lot
think
of information.
it comes up a whole lot. I remember towards the end, alright, it becomes a bigger deal. I don't know. We're going to get a whole lot between now and then.
Yeah, they're just trucking along. So okay, so I guess I do have a question, a history question, and we can continue wrapping up.
What's up?
The public knows the shogun is in charge, or is that it's like a shadow government kind of thing?
No, they know like the shogun holds
The power.
actual power, but like
Okay.
to most people in Japan, like you're living in some rural parts, so like the shogun doesn't have a huge bearing on your life.
Right.
Like, yeah, there's a shogun. It's like they brought up when we were on about like some random passage where they were just like, oh, back in sure, it used to be like there was many men and women. And one person was like, yeah, when was that? Like a fucking 1,000 years ago. And they're like, that it was like 50 years ago. It was like my grandfather's time. It's like, you know, people know there's a shogun. Like it's not like very present in their daily lives.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
I assume the emperor is also not that present in most
I would
commoners'
say the
lives.
emperor is even less present, given that, like it's a purely ceremonial role. It's probably like really it'd be like their local. Funny enough, the bailiff you mentioned last episode, and like the kind of immediate people
They're
they
daimyo of
interact with.
the region, yeah.
Oh, is the Emperor still a man? Does that ever get established? I mean, if all of the men are dying.
I forget if because they haven't brought it up yet.
I can't remember. I think there's some stuff I write about around that towards the end, but yeah, I don't know that it because it would have by this stage it wouldn't have brought up. But like I don't know, I don't know, I don't think she cares, and also it's not like the emperor. What's happening in Kyoto doesn't really matter all that much.
Yeah, this is focused on the inner chambers, and that focuses on the Tokugawa shogunate. So
that is a good point. Yeah.
I think it's just because like some of the characters that we've seen so far have come from Kyoto. Like Ari Koto was a monk from that area.
Mm-hmm.
The Tsunayoshi's senior chamberlain
And Monosuke.
and Monosuke, yeah, came from Kyoto as well. And I believe Tsunayoshi's consort was also from Kyoto. So they have like I think the Tokugawa are keeping like a relationship with Kyoto and thus the emperor through some of these marriages and stuff like that, political marriages maybe.
I think it's like legitimizing them as well, having that connection.
Yeah. Oh, look at us. We have family attached to the emperor.
It's so interesting, though, that there's not more of a push for the shogun to have children with her consort. Like, would not that be the most powerful lineage? I mean, between nobles?
Well, see, the problem there then is like you got a member of the imperial family who's now like a father to the shogun. So like that's nearly giving power because this was a thing that I don't know is this what her thinking was, but this was the case if you go back like 1,000 years before this or 800, 600 years before this, you had like a regency system. So this was before the shogun. So like power wasn't held really by the emperors; it was held by like the regents who were like the father or uncle of the emperor, and the father or the uncle of the emperor was usually a Fujiwara because they made sure that their daughters got married into the imperial family. so that way they were always the like, and then they'd like kind of have the whatever sitting in for not like retire relatively young. Oh, there's a kid in the throne, has to be a regent.
Okay.
I don't know, is that her thinking? But like that was their whole thing of like, oh, we want. It happens in history. It happened in reverse, where like the Tokugawa, some of them were like, we need to like get married to someone in the direct imperial line, so that way, like, you know, at some stage, like an emperor's parents is going to be a Tokugawa, and that's going to like really boost our prestige.
Gotcha.
But like, I think the consort thing, it's like more of like, you know, they're getting married to like forge the connection. Like, do they really want to have a kid with them? It's probably like up to the individual shogun. It's like
Okay.
purely like, you know, for public relations.
You hear that, Morgana? I gotta look good to the public.
Although I guess the other thing too is like they might have also had tried to have the kid with them, and they were like, well, it's been a year, right? On to the next one.
Hence the inner chambers. Because don't forget, the inner chambers was a real thing, everybody. That we don't have a accurate history of it, like we mentioned in the first episode. Okay, anything else? I'm sure I'll think of it once we stop recording. But yeah, Morgana, how do you feel? You've read past
How do you feel?
Stupid.
Are you still into this journey that we're taking, looking at the inner chambers?
Yes, I am invested and mystified. I think like I said, I feel very much like Darfox in some ways, where I'm kind of like, I'm just being swept along by the poor decisions of all these historical gender bent characters, and watching it all explode and enjoying it, but also being sad a lot. And that's not a bad thing, but it's not a happy series for sure.
I don't think a lot of historical series are that happy.
No, I mean, fair, yeah. But you know, it's not happy. It's beautiful and at times funny, and I'm enjoying it.
That's good. How about you, Dar?
There's a scene in Star Trek 4, I think.
Oh boy, here we go.
That Spock is in front of like these 3 or 4 computer terminals that are shooting like science and geography questions at him. Like, what's the diameter of this and that? Like, what, you know, what's the equation of this? Finish the equation. And he's like very rapid fire, turning left and right, and just like answering these questions. And then at one point, the next question is, "How do you feel?" And then Spock like stops. He's like, "I don't understand the question." He goes, "How do you feel?" And he keeps asking him how he feels, and he doesn't know how to answer it. I'm like the opposite of Spock, where I can't answer any of the like diameter questions, but I can answer. I feel angry and sad.
Okay, you got there. Very nice, very nice. Yeah, Seamus, anything else to mention about, I guess, like, revisiting Ooku? You enjoying it, at least?
Yes. Is there anything particular else to say? No, I don't really have a whole lot to add.
All right. I, too, am enjoying this. Forsooth. Well, wait.
Verily.
We didn't talk about, like, there was still a lot of Shakespearean speech in these 3 volumes, I felt.
I feel like yes, but I do feel like it's been slightly better, or maybe I'm just getting used to it.
But
yeah, which do you think it is? Did they ease up, or we just got used to it?
they also added some random other shit that I didn't notice in the first volume. Like, instead of saying even, it was like E apostrophe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the fuck is that? Is that Shakespearean? Like,
Yeah, some poetical shit.
yeah, I don't know. I'm still a little discombobulated by it.
Well, there you go. We'll have to see what happens with the next 3 volumes next week. But yeah, let us end this episode. Thank you to Darfox, Morgana, and Seamus for joining me this week. If you enjoyed Manga Machinations, make sure to subscribe to us, rate us, review us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever else you can find us. Reminder, we will be continuing our Ooku retrospective next week with volumes 7, 8, and 9. Stay tuned for that. Check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MangaMacTV, where you can go back and watch the recording of this. You can see some extra footage of us panicking during a technical issue right before we started the second half, which will be cut from the official recording. Also, while you're at it, check out our other YouTube channel, Manga Mac Watches, where we do watch-alongs of anime. If you want to support us, buy us a coffee, head over to ko-fi.com/mangamac, and you can buy us a coffee to support our manga reading projects. Check out our website, mangamachinations.com. Our Tumblr is mangamachinations.tumblr.com. Send us emails, mangamachinations@gmail.com. Join our Discord. Head over to discord.me/mangamac, and you can join us and talk to us and ask us questions. Play Mahjong with us every Monday. And you can follow our social media at Manga Mac Podcast. That's Manga MAC Podcast. That's for Instagram, Blue Sky, Twitter, everything else. You can follow my social media at Dogazoo. Follow Darfox at Darfox8. Follow Morgana at MorganaRelina. And follow Seamus at Seamus2389. Remember, Seamus is spelled without an H. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to us this week. Bye-bye.